All right, y'all, let's get right into it because it's going to be a big topic. We're going to be covering telepathy and all things that relate to it. Um, I want to start this video off by saying, for the ones who believe, don't let anybody else tell you or bully you or push you into disbelieving something that you know in your heart is true. Don't let other people tell you that because you've experienced something that, oh, you're losing your mind or you need to go get help, or don't let them do that to you, because it's gaslighting to the umpteenth degree. It's let me explain something to you. So in society, especially today's society, public opinion runs the show. And you have to understand that human nature, we cling so tight to our beliefs, even if they're contradictory or they go against something else that we also believe or subscribe to. As far as this topic is concerned, you got a lot of people that will tell you, oh, there's no proof, when that's just not true. Or they'll say, show me proof, and then they'll list all these impossible criterias for you for it to be validated. But then in the same respect, we believe in science so hard, even though science gets things wrong or they don't know the answer to things, and they move on regardless of whether or not they know the answer. I talked about it in my other video, like autism. Look up for yourself what causes autism, and they're going to say, I don't know, it's a number of things. We can't really say. We don't really have an exact cause. Right. So in the faith of bad science, you're just continuing, even though you lack information, because to me, that doesn't suffice as evidence. You understand? If I want to know the cause of something and they say, well, we can't really say, it's a collection of things. Oh, so you just put a bunch of stuff together to give us an answer, but you still don't know. And there's honesty in that, but because they'll tell you that. But as a society, those same people that'll accept this answer for this, they won't accept that answer for something like this topic that we're covering today. When in fact, there is a lot of tangible evidence when it comes to telepathy and all subject matter relating to it. For starters, so the program was actually birthed in like 1972. That's kind of when they got started with it. When they got a lot of interest in it. And that was right around the tail end of Vietnam, LSD, the free love movement, Charles Manson, MK Ultra, all that stuff. So just off the rip, I find it funny that these timelines are running together. You understand? So they're trying to look into telepathy, and then at the same time, here comes MK Ultra, here comes these psyops, these brainwash programs, these CIA programs. And then in 1977, they officially start Stargate. And everybody is talking about Stargate now, funny enough. But it's not new news. And let me explain. I told y'all in the other videos, a lot of these podcasters and influencers, they're just now catching on to this stuff. And a lot of us have been hip. We've been known about it. A lot of us who might have grew up different, or maybe a lot of us grew up in spirituality. We didn't get brainwashed or indoctrinated by religions. Maybe a lot of us grew up, especially in the 90s, a lot of us were really big into UFOs and aliens. So a lot of us maybe had computers at home and we were doing a lot of research. So there's a lot of us who have been, well, I would say knowledgeable. A lot of us have already been knowledgeable since, the 90s, 80s. And then a lot of our people that came before us, way back, they were on it too. So you always have people that are going to be really equipped. So I'm going to say to you, to anybody that wants to create content, or anybody that's going to get into this, or anybody that's really excited about this kind of stuff, because it is very exciting, please, please, please do your own research. Just do your own research. use all these influencers as your point of reference, but don't stop it at there. Don't stop there. Go do your own research because there is so much out there on these topics. So don't just settle. You know what I mean? When it comes to information, never settle. There's plenty of it out there. Go look for yourself. So let's get back to it. So the Stargate program ran from I believe 1977 all the way up until about 1994, 95. That's when it was shut down, or that's when they concluded. Um Now in these programs, they've spent probably over $20 million. So that right there is a good jab towards anybody who comes along to discredit you, because even if we can't agree on the effectiveness of telepathy or manipulating objects with your mind, manipulating organisms with your mind, manipulating other people with your thoughts, manipulating your environment, manipulating or predictions, future telling, being able to, we all have intuition. So tapping into your intuition and getting really tight with it, really strong in it, and being able to tell when things are going to be able to happen, being able to predict when somebody's going to come visit you or somebody's going to call you, being able to predict an accident or being able to predict something, or seeing how nature responds to your vibration and your energy. You know what I mean? It's like the joke on the shorts where the person's like, they know when I'm coming to the function, and then they walk up and all these crows fly over top of the sky. You know what I mean? That that shit really happens. You know what I mean? Or you go outside at a random time and you go for a walk, and right as soon as you get on the road or the path that you're going to walk in, a deer will walk slowly in front of you. And you'll see stuff like this start to reoccur at like a rapid succession. Or maybe you say a prayer to God and you say, God, send me a sign. Show me that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then you look up and there's a bright red cardinal sitting right in front of you. You know what I mean? These are the things that, and that's small. It's not small to me, because those are the things in nature that are really tied to my faith and my belief system. So they're not small to me, but there are more tangible things that can't just be coincidence stacked away. You know what I mean? So when you have circumstantial evidence, it might not be credible, but when you have overwhelming circumstantial evidence, then it starts to lend itself to credibility. So just off that, a lot of people that want to discredit these things don't really have much to stand on. They're slowly losing their, whether they realize it or not, their stance is slowly washing right up from under them as far as disbelieving these things as being possible or true. Um, so anyway, so Stargate wasn't Stargate wasn't the only program. They ran a bunch of sister programs off of Stargate. So not only did they run Stargate from 77 to 94, so if we just want to round, they ran a 20-year program for nothing, according to the ones who don't believe. They just ran a 20-year program, spent $20 million, and there was no point to it. So, like, come on, you know what I mean? And if so, then we need to go to our officials and say, hey, some of us could have used some of this $20 million out here that you got to waste on something that you deem not enough to look any further. All the while, they did look further. I wrote some important stuff down for you guys right here because I really want to be thorough. I want you guys to have as much reference points. So not only did they run Stargate, but they ran Sunstreak, Center Lane, uh, Gondola Wish, Grill Flame. So there's multiple sister programs being ran off of this one Stargate program. So again, I asked the question, if there's nothing to it, why do they need to run 5 or 6 more different programs off of it? Why do they need to spend so much money on it? Right? And I listened to an interview, and this interview is old. It's not new age podcast influencer bullshit. It's old information. It's old interviews where the guy said, well, it's obvious to us this is a guy who claimed to be a part of the experiment. He said, well, it's obvious to us that the government just wants to weaponize it. So, and then that's backed up by the documents. So he says, but when they figured out they couldn't weaponize it after all the research, we proved to them during the experiments that this was real. We could do this, but it wasn't to their liking. It wasn't enough for them to want to adopt it or weaponize it because they couldn't really figure out how to accurately weaponize it. Okay. So just because they couldn't figure out how to accurately weaponize it doesn't make it not real. It just means they lack control over it, which is, I kind of hinted to that in my other videos. They just don't know how to control it because it's linked to your intention. And they can't control or manipulate your intention. And I feel like if you're grounded, but I feel like, and you guys are really, this shit'll really drive home to you if y'all would just put everything together. Because then you got to ask yourself, well, and I'm not doing my video on this, I'm going to do a whole nother video on this. But then you ask yourself, well, maybe that's why in Hollywood or in the music industry or with the elitists, there's so much devil worship or Satanism or black magic, the occult. There's so much praise to the occult in these groups. And there's a way right there of how they control your intentions, or they muddy up the vessel, which is us as a race, as a species. So they constantly force feed you subliminal dark imagery. They constantly force feed you smut or force feed you satanic content, right? Like in the music, in the children's show. And they market the children the most. You know what I'm saying? They market the children the most because the children, I just follow. The children are born pure, right? They're born pure into this world. Like, yeah, they're born into a world of sin, but when your child is born pure. That's why a lot of children are the ones who have alien experiences. They have experiences with ghosts. They have experiences with the other side, you know what I mean? And children have close relationships to our pets. Our pets seem to have a unspoken bond with them that is different than the bond they have with us. And that's because, much like the animals, the children have yet to be brainwashed. They've yet to be indoctrinated and tricked and having all that shit turned off. So just think about it. Then on top of all the other spinoff programs they ran, there's also been Gansfeld experiments, which is where they experiment with ESP, telephone telepathy, which had a 40 to 45% success rate. That's where people are in a controlled setting are able to predict when they get phone calls and who's going to call them. And these aren't scheduled calls. These are just, this is the call. They have a 40 to 50% success rate. They also did TMS and EEGs to transmit messages between individuals' brains. They had success with that. And then finally, my favorite one, the intention experiments. Now, the intention experiments, or the thought experiments, but if you're going to search it, you have to look up the intention experiments. It's a book, and I would encourage you to buy the book, read it, and then branch off from that and look into more things related to the matter. But this lady named Lynn McTaggart wrote a book in 2007, or published it in 2007. And she interviewed scientists and she provided her data from her experiments that she conducted with many different individuals. She brought in a lot of spiritual people. I would say a lot of people who are tapped into these gifts. And she stated that she discussed about how there are certain individuals throughout her experiments where she's noticed that certain individuals hold more power than others, and in this degree, in this area. And That's not for anybody to get a big head or anybody to feel small. It's just a matter of how we were raised, how we got indoctrinated, who was influencing us. You understand? And our connection with our own spirituality and our own spiritual journey without religion and pressure from society. And like I said, I'm going to do a whole nother topic on that, and I think y'all will really enjoy it. But as far as this is concerned, she said that they had great results. This is like another form of remote viewing or predictions, but this is a more like her motivation. So if you want to know what her motivation was healing. She was big into healing, and she had a beautiful vision on what we could do as a society if we broke away and we got together and we started putting more time and effort into our spirituality and these types of things, how much we could heal the world, how much we could influence the world's trajectory. And I think it's safe to say that since 2007, there's no greater need for it than right now. I mean, our political landscape is literally a joke. It's a straight up joke. One sick, nasty, satanic joke. So how long are we going to sit around just trusting them? You know what I'm saying? So, and this isn't a political video either, but when you're dealing with the government and their programs, that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with politics. You're dealing with money. So anytime if you're one of the people who believe in these things and telepathy or clairvoyance or manipulating objects or people or anything in relationship to this, if you're somebody who believes in our ability to do so, anytime somebody wants to come along and smack you down or make fun of you or do anything like that, just say, hey, well, go before you get into me, go ask your government why they felt the need to spend that $20 million and run that program under our noses and lie to us about it for 20 years. And they lied longer because the files didn't get released in 1995 when they concluded. So just think about it like that. Now, and I believe this is a direct crossover, so I am going to cover this part in this video because I'm not going to do a separate video on UFOs. So it's going to get covered right here. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Zimbabwe incident in 1995. And again, here we go with the timelines, and that's another thing. Stick with the time. Make sure you're paying attention to dates and how things coincide with the dates, because it's really important. Don't think it don't matter. So, just a refresher, the Stargate program ended supposedly in 1994. Then in 1995, we had an incident in Zimbabwe, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but something like 62 kids between the ages of 6 and 12 witnessed a UFO incident where they said they spoke to aliens. They said the aliens spoke to them telepathically and they could talk back telepathically. They didn't have mouths. They just spoke up here. And they said that the aliens were warning them that we were in a path of destruction and we needed to act fast and save the earth. Now, I find that funny because that's a common thing you hear when you hear other witnesses who have either been abducted, interact with, or seen craft, where you'll hear a lot of coinciding stories where, and these people can't possibly be coordinating. You understand what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about by overwhelming circumstantial evidence. If I'm in America and you're in Africa and we see a UFO and we describe it the same and we haven't spoken to each other, let's say this is before social media, because a lot of these stories are well before social media. So the possibility isn't even there for these people to talk to each other. You know what I mean? Like this mass hoax amongst citizens, like that's bullshit. That's not what it is. These are people that had no way of communicating, right? So I find it more than ironic that all these people kind of share similar experiences, similar stories, and they all kind of say that the aliens interact with them telepathically. And they tap them into that same thing where we communicated with our minds. We didn't talk. We didn't move our mouths. We didn't use words. We talked up here. So that was a huge sighting. That's what we call like a mass sighting. And that's where they were actually communicated with. So that would be considered third kind, right? Second kind you see, third kind you interact, fourth kind you're abducted. So that's pretty significant if you ask me. Then there was a guy by the name of John Mack. He was investigating that Zimbabwe incident. Um, and he went on the radio about it. He wrote about it. He talked about it, and he was a doctor. Okay, so let's give him some credibility because the world loves and needs that. You can't just be a regular person with a story. You gotta have, you know what I mean? Like like we're not all people, and that's something that's wrong with the world too. But I won't get into that. Um, so anyway, so this doctor, he's investigating this, and then coincidentally enough, when he's traveling overseas and he's on travel, he gets run over by a car and dies. And a witness said that he just walked into traffic. So I don't know. I don't know. You guys tell me. But a lot of people speculated that it was some sort of hit job, whether it was a hit job or they were messing with his mind. But they did not feel, a lot of people that were in the know and covering these topics, they did not believe that he just had an accident. And I kind of don't either. So, and we all know how our government gets down, especially the CIA. And, you know, we're watching it right now. So, I mean, to me, it's kind of getting hard to just keep this hoax going, because that's the only hoax, is us believing that our government is what they try to make us believe it is when it is not. Us praying and bowing down and idolizing all these sick people in Hollywood who ain't special. I got news for you. Most of their art is probably stolen, by the way. You know what I'm saying? So they're not even these great minds or these great artists or these talented people, most of them. Most of them are thieves. And you all know that with data leaks, all this free access to information, all this, like, ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way. You're not going to convince me that these people are not watching us, hacking into our shit, stealing our information, stealing our likeness, stealing our lives, and making movies off of it. You're not going to tell me that they're not. So anyway, to get back to the UFO thing. And there's so much when it comes to that you can't explain. Well, now you got your government basically telling us that, yeah, there's UFOs. So all the people who once said, oh, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. Oh, you just got a foot put in your mouth, didn't you? And I'm not trying to discredit people from thinking what they want or believing what they want, because I'm all about the individual. I'm all about critical thinking. I'm all about being a leader and not a follower. I'm all about creating your own, forging your own identity, being one. But you also got to consider that to go look for yourself and research for yourself, but to still ignore the evidence, that's not honest. You know what I'm saying? And I don't got time for that. So I just gave you plenty of information to go and look up for yourself. The reason why I don't, and I'm going to just say this, the reason why I don't want to cover the telepathy tape specifically, it isn't because I don't think they're on to something with what they're doing, but I don't like how everybody tries to put things in a box. It's like the same way what I brought up with autism. Like, I will accept the answer that I don't know. that's perfectly respectable and perfectly fine. And as doctors, you still have an obligation to do something for these kids and their challenges and study and research and all of that. So I respect the fact that you say, as a doctor, I don't know what causes it. We think it's a vast number of things. Right. So the same thing can be said for this. We don't know why we have these abilities or these gifts or this intuition or this spiritual connection, or why we all share similar stories of seeing ghosts or seeing things we can't explain or seeing UFOs or seeing aliens or seeing demons or seeing angels, or the stories are as long as life. So it's easy to just say I don't know, but there's something to this, and still hold it in high regard and hold it as something that looks to be more true than not. Um and I feel like you're going to see, which I feel like we already have seen, a mass uptick with these things, where we're getting like this hive mind type thing going on, where because we're all connected. You're connected to nature, you're connected to the animals, you're connected to the trees, you're connected to the weather, you're connected to the we're all connected, whether you like it or not. So, but I feel like you're seeing an uptick in people being able to tap in. You're seeing an uptick in people realizing that they have these gifts and these abilities. And to the ones who were raised this way, such as myself, who got raised in spirituality, who got raised to ground in nature, if you know what I'm saying, we're already aware. So it's a beautiful thing to see. In my opinion, it's a beautiful thing to see. And the government is losing power and gain and ground each day. Like their days are numbered, because we're all having our faces spinning. And it didn't start with the Epstein files. So just stop focusing so much on that one thing. Yes, it's of high importance, but it's not new, you know what I mean? So don't treat it like it is. That they've been knowing about that forever. That's something that's been going on, that they've had the information already. So I don't want you to treat anybody that comes out of this like a savior. Don't do that shit. Because even the ones that are, if, and it's a big if, because I highly doubt any more justice is getting handed down, just so you know. So watch for it. Watch my words. But if it does, don't treat these people like saviors, because that's what they prey on. It's the same thing with the right and left shit. Oh, the right's gonna save you from the left, vice versa. It's all tired. It's all bullshit. They all work for the same people. They're all crooks, thieves, gangsters, liars, killers. So don't do that. Stop doing that. You hear me? Don't let these people trick you into picking a new savior again. Because the last one you picked was full of shit. I try to tell people, a lot of people try to tell people, how use your brain, critical thinking. How could he be for you? He doesn't know you. He doesn't know anything about you. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't know what it's like to be a normal citizen, an everyday citizen, every man, every woman. He has no clue. He wasn't raised that way. He didn't come up that way. He knows nothing about it. And that's true for most of the politicians, most of the big business interests. So I ask myself why we keep putting them in power. Why don't we demand? I'd rather have some mechanic who believes in God, has, treats people with kindness, love, and respect, is maybe well educated, even if his job doesn't show that, because that doesn't mean shit. You know what I mean? I'd rather see him run for president and become a president than anybody I've seen in my lifetime. And that's just facts. That's just how I feel about that. Because then none of them do their job. George Bush got a lot of people killed for his own pockets and his own benefit. We went to war with his business partners, and if you guys find that ironic, that's not ironic. And that's been proven. So it's not just me being some tinfoil hat person. It's been proven. These guys were his business partners. So your business partners were also terrorists who we also went to war with because they attacked us. First of all, even if the attack was legit, which you and I both know it wasn't, even if it was, that's still in bad faith because we still going to war with these people over business. We're not going to war with these people over saving their citizens from tyranny. We're ran under tyranny. So it had nothing to do with that. And a lot of the people that fought over there, they're starting to tell you the truth. Pay attention, because they starting to tell you the truth about what really happened over there. They starting to tell you the truth about all the things they lied about and covered up. And Michael Moore tried to tell us about the business relationship with the Bin Ladens a long time ago. So it's not new. There's a lot of people that paved the way that come with facts, numbers, documents, and try to teach people and educate people to wake people up so we can build a better country. So instead of following the script, we all need to be out here learning for ourselves, researching for ourselves, and learning these new exciting things. Everybody had to learn something for the first time at some point. So don't let your identity be an excuse to keep you blind or to keep you one-dimensional. Because you'll always be you. Just because you change your mind about something or you get access to new information about something that you didn't have before and you got to change your stance on something, it don't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you an idiot. You can still be highly intelligent and just not have the access. Intelligence isn't measured by one or two topics. It's measured by a collection. It's measured by the way you think. In my opinion, that's how I measure intelligence, by the way somebody thinks. Do they think inside the frame or outside the frame? Can they relate the inside frame with the outside frame? That's how I judge intelligence. I don't judge it based on what you didn't have access to. That's the whole thing. Ignorance is bliss. And there's overwhelming amounts of evidence to show you that you shouldn't trust your government and rely on them for information. Half the food we eat is poison. Half the food we grew up eating was proven to be poisonous to us. We've got proof that they purposely negatively influence us through entertainment. And they brainwash and pay off the entertainers to do so. And because this isn't a spiritual video, well, it is, because to me, these intentions and these gifts are 100% spiritual gifts. And that's not to say that they're not related to the brain, because of course they are. But there's so much we don't know about our brains, even still. Like, we know hardly nothing about them. You know what I mean? And you guys all know that because of the way CTE got handled. You know that based on all the new things that they're trying to manufacture to make up for the fact that they don't know about our brains. Because that's the only reason you're seeing this push for so much technology, is because they want to fabricate something that they don't understand. And they don't like that they don't understand it. So it's easy for them to fabricate something and make something, a machine, another device, than it is for them to actually figure out something that they haven't been able to figure out yet. And another big reason why these devices exist is because, again, like the telepathy and the MK Ultra, they just made a perfect all one fits one device where it does it all for them. They can do all of that. This is proof of telepathy, because if you think of something, it pops up in your feed. You don't even gotta say it. Yeah. So again, and then look at the age of the internet. That shit really took off after the Stargate program, didn't it? It completely changed from then on. And now they kind of got it mastered. They kind of got it pushed as far as they can push it. It's also like the brand new Rico Dragnet. That's another reason why these things got put out. Because it's another graduation. You know, back in the days when they did the mass wiretapping for the mob, which in my opinion was illegal. They should have never been allowed to do that. But they did, because they just go in there behind everybody's backs, pass a little law that they made up anyway in the first place, and then presto, you have no rights. So this is another example of that. Now they watching you, listening to you, seeing where you're going 24/7, whether you like it or not, whether you want to believe it or not. They're watching you 24/7. And I personally don't care. So I'm gonna still be me no matter what. You can watch all the fuck you want. I'ma still be me. You wanna come get me, come get me. It ain't gonna change nothing. And I'm gonna tell you, as somebody who's spiritually tapped in, it ain't gonna change their future. Cause it's all funny when they doing it to us. It's not funny when it's gonna happen to them. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. What you're witnessing right now in society, it's just the tip of the iceberg. It ain't even close. All they doing is buying time. Cause they know where they're going after this. So just rest assured that, and it's coming quicker than y'all think. I promise. But that doesn't mean that we should just sit on our hands. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot that we can do to get together to accelerate this. We can push this forward if we actually will stop subscribing to the lies and stop subscribing to the diversity or the forced diversity. I love diversity. I've always said the differences in people is what makes the world a beautiful place. Otherwise, it'd be boring. Otherwise, we'd just be in a cabin in the woods and our beauty would all come from nature. We would just be enamored by nature. And a lot of us that are rooted still are. But as us, as people, we're beautiful too. I find beauty in all people. No matter your color, no matter your sexual preference, no matter who you pray to, no matter what culture you come from, there's beautiful people all over the world. And that's just the physical. Then when it comes down to personalities, and there's a lot of beautiful personalities out here that are different from mine. So to me, life is all about the differences, but we gotta stop as a society letting our differences divide us still. We like to have so much pride in our country as being the United States of America, but we actually hate diversity, and that's what I don't understand. Every opportunity you find somebody is hating on somebody's diversity. So we gotta get away from that. We gotta stop that, because that's all by government design. That's all on purpose, and it's been indoctrinated, brainwashed, and implanted in us since the beginning of time, since we've gotten here. It started off as wealth, then it got into the sexes, then it got into color, race, and it just keeps going down, down, down. Now people hate you for anything, you know? I say apple, you say orange. Oh, we hate each other. We're shooting each other at the grocery store. So, I mean, it's just, and that's because of these right here. That's all. So, and I'm going to say something to you, and I'm going to talk about this more in the spirituality video. But do not, and I mean do not sleep on what this device right here is fabricating, manufacturing, and manifesting, more importantly, in the world. Do not sleep on the power of this device that you're holding in your hand and what it's doing to your energy. Mind your thoughts. Mind your words when you type in with your thumbs. Mind the things that you say on here, because it holds a ton of power. And it's dangerous. I feel like that's another reason why we're seeing so much going on right now, is because I feel like there's a lot of people who are ignorant to exactly how much power this thing holds. So just be mindful. Try to use it for good. Make sure when you get up in the morning, you do some meditation, or you do some prayer, or you just take your time waking up, taking deep breaths, think about things you're grateful for. And when you go out into the world, even when people provoke you, or they're rude to you, or they're mean to you, or they're standoffish. It's not about what everybody else does, it's about what you do. So, always stop and think, what would it hurt for me to just stay kind in this situation? Or what would it hurt for me to just stay silent in this situation? Or what would it hurt for me to just turn the other cheek and walk away from this situation? So just think about that, because you got to protect your energy. What you give your energy to will reflect in your life. So just make sure you're being careful with that. That's why the industry pushes all that dark shit. There was a priest, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with him or not, but his name is Father Malachi, and he's very popular. He did a little documentary, but long before he did that documentary, he performed exorcisms, and to me, he has a lot to say. If you guys want to go look into him, look up interviews with him. You can watch the documentary, but there's so much more, so much better interviews with him from the past that are out there for you. So try to find those if you can. But he coined the term perfectly possessed. And basically what that means is the people that are accepting their possession and mostly blind to it, to where they don't even realize that they're being possessed, and they're just walking around normal like they're not. And they don't care that they are because they're blind to it. And that's a lot of the world today. And again, like I said in the other video about some of these things, it's not your fault. But the Bible talks about ignorance. What you're ignorant to is one thing, but once you know better, you're expected to do better. Now you're going to get held accountable. And it's hard. It's not an overnight thing. Like I said in my other video too, your spiritual journey is lifelong. It's not just, you ain't got to try to force it all in one day. Just slowly start to remove a little bad, add a little more good, and do that over the course of your days on this earth. And you'll see for yourself what the benefits are and how you feel, think, and view the world. And it's hard to avoid. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the music is poisonous. And they're not even trying to give us hints or tell us the truth or give us messages anymore, really. Not like they were in the past. If you look into the past, they've been telling us about this stuff forever. They've been warning us. They've been dropping us hints. They've been telling us. That's why lyrics are important. That's why in today's society, we're getting away from lyricism. There are no lyrics anymore. It's just repetitive bullshit that you can barely understand over a beat that's hypnotizing you. And if anybody knows about hypnosis, they know how powerful that is. And then while you're not hearing what they saying while they mumbling, they know what they saying when they mumbling, and that shit's in your subconscious. So just think about that. Think about what you grew up listening to and how it affected you, and then think about if you would want that for your children. Like, come on, man. If you know better, do better. I don't let my kids listen to that shit. So if you know better, do better. And stop worrying about being a likable parent and worrying about being a good parent. Don't let keeping up with the Joneses stop you from raising a better child. You know what I'm saying? Give your child a chance. Because a lot of us didn't have a chance. We got raised up by parents that were stressed out. They were abused when they was little, and they was just doing their best. You know what I mean? They was taking something bad, making it a little bit better, and giving it to us. And I feel like I got a responsibility to my mother to take what she gave me and do better with it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm trying to do. And I will hope you guys will do the same. And a lot of that has to do with controlling your kids' influences. And I'm not going to sit on here and come after nobody's parenting or nothing, but I don't let my kids have cell phones. I'll take the risk. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to let them have cell phones. When they're old enough to drive, we'll talk about it. I might not even let them drive till they're 18. You feel me? Like, why do you need to drive? I'll take you there. You don't need that. So, but like I said, I'm not judging you, but it's just something to think about. It's a lot of little kids on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, and they're smut sites. Let's be real about it. Let's stop the bullshit. We don't really want to talk to our great auntie from across the pond. That's not why we on there. Just be honest, be real. So there's no business for kids to have that. You want to keep up with your friends. Didn't you just see them at school? I'm not understanding. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you need to keep up with them for? What are they doing from 4 o'clock until they go to bed at 9 o'clock? You know, like you don't need to keep up with nothing. You'll see them tomorrow, then you'll actually have something to talk about. So that's just how I feel about it. You know what I mean? And the more so, the reason is because spiritually, I know how dangerous these things are. That's all I'm gonna say. So just take what I'm saying. Feel free to look up some of the information I provided to you and check it out for yourself, especially Lynn McTaggart and the intention experiments and her book and any interviews you can find with her, any of her colleagues, any of the people that participated with her. Feel free to look up the Zimbabwe incident from 1995, where the 62 kids saw the aliens, and look up John Mack. He's the one that was researching that, who got killed, unfortunately. And you'll find a lot of branch offs. So once you start to get into these people, you'll see other people that you can go look into who will provide good information too. So, and again, like always, if you guys have any stories about the power of intention or telepathy, clairvoyance, UFOs, alien, any of that, you feel free to drop it in the comments. I'm always interested, and I'm not one of the people that are gonna call you a liar, tell you you're crazy, tell you to go pray to God and Jesus Christ is the way. I'm not a radical. I'm not gonna shame you or make fun of you about anything you say. And if you have a difference of opinion, please provide it as well, because I always want to collaborate with people who think the opposite of what I think, because that's how we grow together. Um, and I hope that you found this entertaining or enjoyable or informative. Thank you.